Right, right. So Howard, question. What was it like with dealing with death row?
Well, I didn't deal directly with Suge, but I was the vice president of Lifestyle Records, which belonged to Harry O and Lydia Harris. And Harry O, as everybody knows now, was the one that put up the money for Death Row. So we never really got a chance to, Suge and I never met Suge or whatever, but we were somewhat of rivals because our first single was with Dana Dane, and we had Jewel on the record that never came out because she was signed to Suge, and Suge and Harry O kind of had a falling out at that particular time. That's why we never released that record. So that's when they kind of fell out and everything kind of hit the fan. So I never really had any dealings with Suge and Death Row, but I was working for Harry O, the man that put it all together.
Right. And what were you? Right. You were in charge of like all the music and finding talent, or what was your role?
Well, I was in charge of everything. Actually, I was creative executive of Dana Dane, Battle Cat, Black Caesar, Poor Broken Lonely. We had quite a few artists that were already on the label that we pretty much inherited it when we got, Battle Cat.
Yeah. That's history right there.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it like working with Harry O, and did you know this is like one of the most notorious like drug lords in the country at the time?
Yeah, of course I did. I absolutely knew that, and a lot of people didn't know what my history was prior to that. Being in Night Flight, our managers were some of the largest drug dealers in the whole United States. I didn't know it at the time. I was pretty naive to what was going on and wondered why, we had two Learjets at our disposal 24/7. Anytime I walk into the office and ask for $5,000, they'd give me $10,000 or $20,000. I lived on the water. I drove a Ferrari, and but I was never involved or even knew that they were, in the drug business, the drug game, or whatever. So when I met Harry O, there was an incident at the studio that only a few people know this story. One night we were at the studio, and Harry O had a lot of, heavy-duty henchmen, so to speak, that worked for him and worked for Lydia. And one night, all of them disappeared, and she was a bit shaken and crying, and she, made a call, or a call came to her from Harry O, and she was screaming and yelling and, what's going on? Somebody's trying to kill me or whatever. And I opened up my briefcase and I took out my .45, and she freaked out and dropped the phone, and I picked the phone up, and, Harry O's yelling, what's going on? And I told him, I said, well, I just pulled out my gun. I work for Lifestyle. I live and breathe the Lifestyle. If somebody's trying to get your wife, they're trying to get me. If somebody's getting at you, they're getting at Lifestyle. That means that they're getting at me. So nobody's getting at you, getting at her, getting at Lifestyle, because I'm representing. And from that point on, I exchanged some names of people that I knew, and we had this mutual respect. And I never got involved in the Bloods or Crips or whatever, because I dealt with a higher power from where I came from. And it just never, got to that point where I was involved in any of that foolishness, because that's what it is to me, fighting over colors and gangs and neighborhoods and places that you don't own, selling drugs. And, it was just never my cup of tea, and I was never afraid of that life, so to speak. I was just never going to be put into those positions. So he knew where I stood, and I knew where he stood, and we just had this mutual respect that it never crossed any of those lines.
Right. Now that's a trip, because coming from where where you originally from, Miami. Ooh, Miami was on fire during the 80s.
Oh yeah, Miami was the drug capital of the world.
During that drug trade. Oh man, it was so much going on. So I can, right? Yeah, thing you hit it on the nose, because she was one of them. I looked at a documentary called Cocaine Cowboys, and I was like, wow, that was going on during the 80s. Oh, like,
yeah, half those people that were there, I knew those.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
So when you came to L.A., I mean, you weren't going to be intimidated. You were already around, various things in Miami.
Yeah. So, hearing people talk about drive-bys and somebody beat up, and it was like, that's child's play to the things that I had been exposed to in Miami around, those criminal types, so to speak, that were much higher echelon than, a guy doing a drive-by or shooting somebody at a party. And it's like, really? Please, that's stupid and idiotic, So.
At what point in time, Howard, did, things end with Harry O?
Probably about 2 years into the situation, and it just kind of all dissolved. We had a deal with Maverick, Madonna's label. We had a situation at Motown, and, everything just kind of hit the fan. Harry O was trying to get out, and money just kind of started disappearing, and, I just felt that it was just time for me to move on and do what I needed to do, and I chose to walk away from it.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, like, comment, share. Also go over to UGSforlife.com, download the entire archive, and check out new episodes on Apple Podcasts and Blog Talk Radio.